Hello, this is Harry. In this video, let's watch a Dutch crime film, Too Fat, Too Furious. Benny was adopted when he was a child and had a very close relationship with his adoptive father. In order to make a living, the father and son joined the criminal gang and lived by robbery. When robbing a jewelry store, Benny accidentally crashed into a car, triggering the security system of the jewelry store. He did not escape before the door was closed, and he was crushed under the door and could not move. The other robbers were afraid that the police would come and forcibly took Benny's father away. 5 years later, Benny was released from prison and learned that his adoptive father was seriously ill. There were not many days left to live. The adoptive father told Benny that in order to avoid a crazy woman, he came to this city alone and adopted Benny. Later, he knew that he had a biological son. The adoptive father gave Benny a picture, saying that his biological son Koen was now serving a sentence in a Belgian prison. If he could see his son for the last time before he died, he would die without regret. Later, Benny went to the doctor to ask about his adoptive father's condition. He was told that the liver was best donated by biological family members. This reminded Benny of his adoptive father's biological son. He intended to rescue Koen from prison to treat his adoptive father's illness before his illness got worse. Benny immediately ran to Belgium with his two younger brothers. After careful planning, the three of them performed their duties and launched a rescue operation. Benny visited Koen in prison in the name of his family. Another person disguised as a worker and used a lift to observe outside the prison. There was another person under the fence ready to act anytime. Not until Benny met Keon that he knew Koen, like the woman described by her adoptive father, also had a personality flaw. Benny had a violent temper and knocked him out when he saw that Koen did not cooperate. The kid on the lift saw the situation out of control and launched the rope quickly. Benny picked up the rope and tied the hooked end to the flagpole and hung the other end on himself. When ready, the younger brother immediately retracted the rope. With the tension between the flagpole and the elevator, Benny immediately cut the rope on the flagpole. When the guards arrived, Benny had already flown out of the wall holding Koen. After the successful escape, they immediately drove back to the Netherlands. In the ward, Benny looked at the father and son gathering. He felt a little uncomfortable. For so many years, he and his adoptive father depended on each other. Now that his real son came back, he seemed to have lost everything. After returning home, Benny carefully wiped his adoptive father's car, recalling the happy time they spent together. The past was like a passing glance. The adoptive father firmly disagreed to use Koen's organs as Benny planned. In desperation, Benny found a black market agent. An intermediary said organs were not a problem, but it cost at least 300,000 euros. And Benny, who was just released from prison, was poor, so how could he have so much money? After hearing this, Koen went straight to the bank, planning to rob a sum of money for his father. Benny was surprised when he received a call from Koen. He told Koen to stay away from the surveillance and not to move, neglect and wait for him to come. Experienced Benny rushed to the bank and shot the surveillance, letting the teller fill up the backpack and prepare to evacuate, but it was still a step too late. Facing the siege of the police, Benny could only find a chance to drive away. He took the hostages and walked out of the bank, intending to spare the time. But Koen misunderstood Benny's intentions and directly confessed to the police. Seeing this, Benny hurriedly took the hostage and fled. They grabbed a car on the side of the road and galloped away. But they didn't go far and encountered many obstacles. Seeing the police car chasing behind him, Benny stepped on the accelerator. He got on the trailer and crashed into a movie theater. Then, the two got mixed into the crowd and fled away. However, they were not fully prepared and only grabbed 100,000 euros in a hurry. In order to make up the remaining 200,000, they had to find another way. Therefore, Benny started gambling at underground black boxing. Unexpectedly, the gambling game failed. He not only didn't make any money but also lost all the money he robbed. As a last resort, Benny could only ask for help from the criminal gang he joined before. The criminal gang quickly provided Benny with information on the money transport truck. And Benny was eager to get money regardless of the danger. He gathered the old brothers back into the old profession. In the evening, Benny went to the ward to visit his adoptive father. But he happened to see the adoptive father handing over the keys of his beloved car to Koen's. This scene made Benny very sad. But anyway, he had to make a desperate bet to save his father. The next day, Benny got an ambulance to take the adoptive father to the airport. It was easier to run away immediately after the incident. A man pretended to be a passenger mixed into the plane carrying money. Koen observed and reported information from a distance. After the money transport truck sent the cash on the plane, the man pretending to be a passenger delayed the takeoff of the plane by taking photos. At this time, Benny drove an ambulance into the airport and hijacked the cash plane. He intimidated the pilot to fly low. When passing the pier, he jumped into the sea with the money box. There were criminal gangs here to meet them. Who would know that the criminal gang did not intend to give Benny the money? Benny had anticipated this situation a long time ago. He preemptively took out his gun and forced the criminal gang to hand over the car keys, then let the criminal gang all jump into the sea. But before they left, the police arrived. The father knew he was running out of time. He took the hands of the two sons together and said, "Too bad about all that money. I have everything I wanted. There are sons you get and sons you can choose. At this time, the criminal gang climbed ashore and threatened everyone to get out of the car. When the two confronted each other, Benny's adoptive father drove away. The criminal gang did not see the police in front of them and hurriedly chased after them. Benny stopped Cohen and answered his father's last call. Father only said one thing: take care of yourself, and cut off the phone. Waiting for the criminal gang to discover that something was wrong, the old man already drove the car to the police. In the end, Benny's adoptive father and the criminal gang died under police fire. The two sons in the distance watched the old father put himself in to save them, enduring grief, and evacuated the scene. After that, Benny took care of his adoptive father's car. He patiently introduced every detail of this car to Cohen. He was afraid Cohen could take care of the car carefully. Cohen interrupted Benny's nagging, saying that his father actually asked him to give the keys to Benny. This was also the last gift left my father. Looking at the photo of himself and his father in the car, Benny burst into tears. He called Cohen, who left alone, back. He sat in the place where father usually sat and drove forward slowly. The two brothers started another brand new life. Well, this video ends here. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, see you next time.